This video is about the 13th Flint Knapping Symposium in Sweden. A short bus ride away, we visited Falbygden Museum that holds Sweden's largest stone axe. After the museum, we went to Vitlycke and saw the rock art panel.
My name is Lars. I work at the museum as an archaeologist. I'm now standing in front of the Vitlycke panel. And this is one of 613 rock art panels in the World Heritage. In Bohuslän, there are 4,500 rock art panels, all in all. So there's quite a significant amount of rock art, especially in northern Bohuslän. It's important to put it in context. I say this because when I started to work at the museum in 2002, rock art wasn't really related to its prehistoric landscape, at least when it came to Scandinavian rock art. Which is interesting, because had it been any other type of archaeological feature, a grave, a settlement site, something like that, you would immediately look at what's around it and think, why is it situated in this place in the landscape, and how are these different things interacting? But all of a sudden you've got images, and then everybody loses their mind. So for some reason, and it's immediately, oh, what is that? I need to know what that is. Then we have to look at the landscape that we are in right now. The rock carvings today mainly face the plain, but we have to look at what did this place look like back in the Bronze Age. Then we have to talk about shore displacement, because of course this landscape has been very heavily affected by shore displacement, which has to do with the last ice age, as you know. Back in the Bronze Age, the land hadn't risen as far as it has today. The perceived sea level was much higher than it is today. In fact, the sea level was more or less the same as it is today, it's just the ground was further down. The difference in sea level in this part of Bohuslän, 1700 BC, when the Bronze Age starts, is about 17 meters, which is nice because it's easy to remember, 1717. And in the late Bronze Age, 500 BC, the difference in sea level is about 11 meters. And this doesn't really mean anything to you at this point, because you have no idea where you are in the landscape. And this wooden deck, or the old wooden deck, I'm not sure about this one, but they're more or less on the same height, is 20 meters above sea level. The average water level of the small river down there, Tanumsälven, is 11 meters. And it hasn't been a normal water level for the entire spring because it hasn't properly rained. But the normal water level is about 11 meters, which means that for the entirety of the Bronze Age, the valley between the museum and the rock carving is a narrow bay. In the early Bronze Age, several meters deep, and in the late Bronze Age, more or less just running where the river runs today. But you have contact with the sea for the entire Bronze Age. And the rock carvings back in the Bronze Age did not face the agricultural plain, but rather the open sea. So if you look at this higher section in the landscape, for example, if you cross over to the other side, you'll hit the sea again. So the rock carvings on that side face that side way, and the rock carvings on this side face this way. So they're facing the open body of water. And I think that what we're looking at here is very much the ideology of these people. And in Scandinavia, the Bronze Age is also to a very high extent the period when you really see the rise of an elite as well. So you have, if nothing else, you need to hammer in the idea of an elite into the head of people. And so you build large graves on the top of the hills here, and then you make these rock carvings. And it's the same people on the rock carvings that are in the graves And the rest of the people are invisible in the rock art, and they're also invisible in the graves. So it's a very elite-centered period.
Then we went to Ekehagen Ancient Village, which is an open-air archaeological museum, and one of the largest in Scandinavia. A perfect site for Flint Knapping.
They said it basically wasn't fixable without replacing in the entire...
Not quite.
Ole?
Maybe I should lay in a little bit.
So Frau Peter. Peter ist jemand, der aus allen Ballen machen kann.
Ich weiß, dass Peter mir einen Ball machen kann, aber ich will es auch einen Ball machen.
Wenn du Probleme hast, frag Peter, wie er sie angehen würde.
Okay. Nee, ich bin einfach nur gerade nicht am Zielen irgendwie. Ich kann nicht to do it in private.
Got enough.
No! So shit.
Elena, do the short side more aggressively. Then this will work itself out. So just with the hammerstone, just go and like cut it. Don't worry about losing width, because it's gonna save you width in the long run.
That's true, yeah, okay. Oh, there's a problem here.
And I was worried a little bit about the bit there,
Crack.
the tiny dip. No, I think it's a Teresa, but I think it was a Moore. Yeah, but I think it's by a Moore. He's Teresa. Yeah, it's got a nice weight.
Yeah, and test the curve because I'm right-handed.
No, I'm left-handed. But
Yeah, but you're not right-handed.
yeah, but my
He's a character.
They weren't worried about me being able to kill something or gather enough to eat. They were worried about whether I could get questions. Where's my phone? Or a leaf, so I know what I'm actually doing. Oh, no! My sample piece here wrong. Sorry.
This symposium was probably the most well documented because there were at least 3 dedicated videographers on site.
I'm very happy for you to put that into the video.